So again, welcome to QuickBooks. This is going to be an introduction to the class. So welcome to QuickBooks. Okay, so our main book, is going to be based off of, again, the QuickBooks Fundamentals for 2018. Now, what this is, it is Premier 2018. So everything that you're going to be testing for is going to be the ins and outs of QuickBooks Premier 2018. What I have on my computer, and what if you do go into the classroom, you will see that we have QuickBooks Pro 2019. Now, I will go over the difference between them, but what I can do is for Pro, I can teach you as much as I can that is very similar to Premiere. Okay, so there's only a couple things that you can and can't do as far as the difference between the two books. All right, so in our class, we're going to be reading the book from top all the way to the bottom. Okay, so everything that we're going to be dealing with when we're doing the examples in class will be evolved around the in-class case study, which is going to be the Academy Photography. Okay, so everything that's going to be taught in the book will be revolved around Academy Photography. Okay, so if for instance, like there is a day where we run into problems or anything like that, you can study off the books 100%. Okay, I'm not going to teach off the books. I'm teaching directly from the book. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this down. All right, so QuickBooks product lines. Okay, so again, you are required to know that QuickBooks actually offers five different products. Okay, we have QuickBooks Online, Pro, Premier, Accountant, and Enterprise. Okay, so it is very important that you know these five, because in the certification you will be asked, if not, what are the products that QuickBooks offers or Intuit offers for QuickBooks. Okay, and the most important one that you want to know the most are these five. And when we're looking to exactly specifics of exactly each one, we will be looking into the differences and what they are. Now, there's a little did you know Premier and Enterprise are used for industry specific businesses. So again, what does that mean? It means for when we are in a specific industry. So for example, if we're a clothing store, we're in the fashion industry, we're in the realty. Not realty. What am I trying to say? Retail. Yes, retail. We're in the same industry. Okay, a grocery store has its own industry, right? It provides produce and products to us, right, for the consumer, right? So that's what an industry is. And when we're looking into Premier and Enterprise, that means when we do our graphs and when we do our statements and whatnot, it is going to be tailored towards an industry specific type of analysis, as in like it's going to pull what a typical industry would look like. Okay, so this is very important because you will be asked this question: what are the two QuickBook products that provide industry specific businesses, or are geared towards industry specific businesses? Okay, so again, when we're looking at product lines, okay, so There are a few differences because if you go onto the official website, if you go to intuit.com, you're going to see a vast variety of brand new products that we've never heard of. Your goal is not to understand 2020. Your goal is to only understand 2018. So again, what I did for my side is I want to make sure that when you go out into the workforce, you may encounter 2020, 2019, depending on what the company that you're working for. So it's good to know that you're understanding the 2018, but you're also aware of what 2020 is. Because in the end, when you certify for 2018, that means you are capable and able to be groomed to learn 2020. All right, or any other QuickBooks product out there. Okay, so yes, so when we actually look into the actual product line, you will notice that accountant is not there. Okay, and yes, so there are two different types as we've spoken before. There is a desktop version and there is an online version. Okay, with the desktop version, okay, it's pretty straightforward. It's either on your home device or it's in the office, it's on a computer, it's on a PC. It's stable and it doesn't go anywhere. The online services offers you unlimited access to be able to have your business be pretty much on a cloud in the sky. So you can update all your files all at once. So that's the great thing about online. The only thing is it's dangerous because of, hacking in your online data. So there are some good things and bad things about it. Okay, so yes, but it is more flexible if you use the online because, with the technology today, you can literally go to the store, and what the online services allows you to do is instead of like physically posting an actual receipt in, you can just scan it and it will record it and it will send it and it will update your online files. Now, the only thing that you can't do is if you have an online, it will not connect with your desktop. Desktop and online will be separate. But what you can do is you can convert your online file to a desktop. However, you won't be able to do your desktop into an online. So make sure that you understand which QuickBooks is best for you. Okay? So again, here we're going to be talking about strictly online. So if you have visited the website, it used to be 3 options. Now that, of course, with society and the technological advancements and being frequently using the iCloud or whatever you want to call it, the cloud, some kind of invisible platform, we are introduced to these 5 things that you're able to select for online. Now, as you can tell, if you just read the product description, every time you go up in services, the bigger, the more items you're allowed to have, the more space, as well as the more functions that you're allowed to receive. Now, obviously, with the increase of more space and more value and more items you can put on, the more expensive it's going to be. So again, with online, it is a paid subscription every month that you have to pay into it, and that's just to keep your files updated and online at all times. So again, for small businesses who are looking for just going into an online service, the essentials would be the best way to start off. Just because it's right in the middle, it has just enough items for you that's doable. It gives you just enough functions to be able to do a lot of transactions or enough transactions, all right? So that's what we would start off is essentials. And obviously with the price, it's most likely going to be just in the middle, okay? Now we're going to be looking into desktop. So again, when we're looking into this, there are 3 available desktops, okay? So remember, accountant is a completely different one, but I will talk about accountant in a second. So desktop, there are 3, okay? You got the Pro, you got the Premier, and you got the Enterprise. So again, we are going to be working for your book is specifically for Premier. We in class have Pro to use to be able to teach you what Premier does, because Premier, I mean, there's only a few things that you can do that are better than Pro. And then here's Enterprise, okay? So the difference between each one is pretty straightforward. Now, this is the updated version, okay? So this is focusing on 2020. We now, for Pro, it goes up to 14,500 items. In your book for 2018, Premier for 2018 allows you to have 14,500 items. Make sure you know that difference, okay? And with each item or lists, right, is going to determine how many things you can have in your QuickBooks. So every item, meaning your account, your individualized person, every single one of those is an item, okay? And then as you gradually go up, so the difference, what you can do for Pro is if you are, again, if you're a small businesses, so that's what Pro is more geared to for a small business that have, that usually have about 1 to 2 users, 1 to 3 users, okay? Excuse me. So again, Premier, okay, is a little upgrade to how many users you can have access to, and it gives you a little more functionality. So this one is meant for more smaller business who are more used to using QuickBooks, or maybe a medium-sized business, okay? It can hold up to 1 million items, okay? And then it can have up to 3 to 5 users. Now, what it means to have a user is having them go onto the QuickBooks files simultaneously, okay? Make sure that you understand that users mean what they can do simultaneously. So this one, it can hold up to 3 to 5 users at once. And then lastly, what they offer here is for Premier is you can have 150 plus industry reports, meaning, again, when I was talking about when you're doing your financial statements, it's more geared towards your industry, okay? So what industry you belong in. You can do forecasting, and another thing is you can also have mobile tracking. So that's the great thing about Premier. You get a little more bang for your buck. For the last one, which is Enterprise, this is for more corporate standpoints, okay? This is for the larger businesses that have millions and billions and trillions of transactions, okay? So this can hold up to more than 1 million items per, and items in a list, okay? So that means because they're $1 million, billion dollar company, they need to have as many items because they have so many clients and they have so many vendors that they need to have all these items available for them to be able to put into QuickBooks. All right, and they can have up to 30 users using QuickBooks at once. So think about it. If Walmart were to use QuickBooks for any reason, that means you got the CEO, the financing management, you got the profit management, you got every single person able to be tapped onto one program at one time, okay? Again, they do have 150 plus advanced industry reports. They do also offer forecasting and mobile tracking. So these are a little more advanced because, again, you pay a little more for it. And yes, and we are focused primarily on the Premiere. Okay. So next thing that I want you to know is, wait, let me go ahead and take a step back real quick because I forgot to add a slide here. I do want to touch upon a little bit about what Accountant is. So Accountant in 2018 is basically a software that you can move from one desk to another desk, meaning if you have any of these, doesn't matter which program you have, whether you have a Pro, Premier, or a Enterprise, it can easily convert it anywhere to any software. The bad thing is when we're talking about Pro, Premier, and Enterprises, if you're creating a company file through Premiere, you are limited to having someone has to have the same exact program as you in order to access the files. Where Accountant, you can convert it to any of those three. It's feasible and it's very good for obviously accountants when you're dealing with either paying for your taxes or having a tax accountant look at your stuff. It's easier to use Accountant because they can convert any given QuickBooks files. But if you're just a small business and your primary goal is just to use one, because it is expensive to buy one program itself, you are only limited to using that program. If you have a Pro, let's say I have a Pro file, I think you're able to upgrade to the Premiere, but you can't reverse it the other way. Okay? So any questions about that? Another thing is, yes. Mr. Sanders, do you have anything to add on? Because I feel like I'm forgetting something to add on here. Because I know that you're only able to be accessing one specific file. Oh, there you go. I have another one. When you create a file, right, it can only last up to 3 years. What does that mean? If I have something that I've created in 2000 with the QuickBooks Pro 2015, I am unable to open it in 2019. Okay, reason being is each program has its maximum amount of up to 3 years. Okay? So since we're on 2018, what we are able to do is we are only able to go back 3 years, so 3 prior years. So we can go back to 2015 if we're using 2018. And what happens is it's going to convert the 2015 files into the 2018 files. So that's a good thing. But since I'm using QuickBooks 2019, unfortunately, I will not be able to access anything prior to 3 years. So 2017 is my most I can go back in time for. All right. Any questions about that?
Not on my end.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to teach you is going to be the F2 key and what the F2 key is. Yes.
Lynn, before anything else, because I was having a hard time unmuting my computer. Anyways, so you were mentioning about 3 years only. You can go
Mm-hmm.
back only for 3 years.
You can
What
only.
happens? Yeah. What happens if you want to retain your files uh, earlier than 3 years? Meaning the retention period has already expired And so what happens if you want to go back to the 3 years before files? If you want to,
Actually, sorry, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question again? So,
you were mentioning about when you create a file,
mm-hmm.
it only lasts for 3 years.
Yes.
So you were mentioning that if you have 2018,
Mm-hmm.
then you cannot go back to 3 years before. So 3 years is about 2018,
2015.
2020. Yeah.
Yes.
So is there a way that if you want to go back to those files,
Mm-hmm.
is there a way that you can retain them?
Yes. There is a way. Again, there is a way. I'm not 100% sure what the process is like, but there is a way you can open up those files in the past. Now, like I said, if you have 2015, if you have 2018, you are allowed to open up a 2015 file and it will convert it into an 18 file.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So there's a
So
process. There's a process for that.
yes, it actually it isn't a process. It's just pretty much it will just recognize the file and it will just convert it for you. Again, when we look into opening our QuickBooks, it's pretty straightforward. It's gonna ask you, would you like to update this? Would you like for all these things? It's gonna ask you a bunch of questions and you're just gonna validate that yes, I want it to be opened up in this one. Now, you do need to be careful because obviously 2015 is going to have a lot more differences between 2015 and 2019 or 18. 2018 is going to be way more easier to do the transactions and everything there'll be new features. So some things may be lagging when you convert from a 2015 to a 2018. All right?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes. Now,
Lynn,
most
Lynn,
yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
can you call a 5 minute break?
Yes, I was about to do that as soon as I finished this last slide.
Okay, no, call a 5 minute break right now, and then continue on with your regular break.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, no, why don't we just call break right now? So, okay. So right now it is 9:21. So, again, we're just going to stop here and then we'll call a quick 15-minute break and then we'll resume at, let me see, what's 20. So I'll call it at 9:25. So please be back by 9:40 and we'll continue from here.